live? Did I make it? Am I out here? Oh man, this is not gonna go well. I don't think for YouTubing it. Am I audible? Let's check it. The stream quality is also pretty terrible. Almost like I need OBS or something. Let's check it out. All right, can I be heard? Oh, good. I have ads for myself. Okay, are we in? Let's check it. All right, we're in. We're good. We're live. We're rocking. Good backdrop here. Good backdrop. I don't know that anyone will roll in, but I wanted to get some Eddie's Tech Talk content out into the world. And that's what we're doing here. This is going to be, I guess, if I'm sure this will save itself. I know it's a minute 42. People, if you're tuning in after the broadcast, probably are tuning out. But I'm just going to kind of run down some of the latest kind of tech stuff, you know? Things that I don't think would make a great Eddie's Tech Talk video kind of by themselves. But something nonetheless that's kind of, I don't know, interesting to talk about, I think. And maybe I will see what's going on. Looks like I can just stream in this little YouTube view. I was going to maybe share my screen for some of this, but I guess this will be more of like a video podcast kind of video. So, you know, I'm sure it'll I'm sure it'll save and be available after. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And the first thing I want to talk about, you know, in this live stream as we're live here, is the new iPhones from Apple. And I say iPhones because technically there are new green iPhones, and green is my favorite color. Green is superb. I went to Michigan State University, and colors are green. I'm colorblind. That's why I have these glasses, so those are green. Or they're not green, but like green was one of the colors I could see the best when colorblind. I guess I'm still colorblind, but the glasses help. And I just really like that green color. And I almost got one. I was going to join the kind of iPhone upgrade program because I get a new phone every year anyway. And I was just going to join that because I would actually save money, which, you know, look, phones are one of my major hobbies that I invest in. You know, I'm pretty frugal otherwise, as it were. So let's talk about those. The green iPhones, they're pretty sweet looking. I wish I had an overlay to share my screen. I'll need to get this hooked up with OBS. It's hooked up to my Twitch right now, so I'll have to, like, I don't know, switch it up somehow instead. So the green iPhones are cool. 6 months into the iPhone's, you know, life, the iPhone 13 life, as we're going to transition over to the next iPhone. I think the color is sick. Again, I almost got one, and I think that there is some value in looking at a phone midway through its life or even at the end of its life that is a little underserved here on YouTube. So I think that would be a good way, as much as I like anybody else, having the newest, latest, greatest thing at the time it comes out. I think there's some value in looking at something. All right, what is it like 6 months in or close to the end of its life? You know, is it still worth buying, or how does it hold up against some of the modern competition, right? Because when the iPhone 13 came out, its major competition, I believe, was the Galaxy S21. The new Z Flips were coming out around the same time, Z Fold, Z Flip. And now the S22 is out, which is probably edging out the, you know, depending on how you look at it, edges out the iPhone 13 Pro at least. I don't know quite about the 13, but, you know, how do these things stack up later in their life? I wanted to take a look at it. And I almost did. And the reason I didn't is because that iPhone upgrade program, you can only get it, which is weird to me because why does it matter? But you can only get it if you're on one of the major carriers. You can't get it on, like, I'm switching to Verizon now, but I was on Xfinity Mobile, like a Boost Mobile, Mint Mobile, anything that's not Verizon, T-Mobile / Sprint or AT&T. You can't get that program. So I switched over to Verizon, not for the price. I actually really liked my Xfinity Mobile service, but my work will pay for it, so I don't care. That's kind of it. So, a video that actually might get a full video is my review of, let me hold it up. This is my visual aid. My review of, oh gosh, Xfinity Mobile, which I have had on my Android and my iPhone. Here's my mini review. It might get a video in and of itself. It's actually been great. I really like Xfinity Mobile. I've had nothing but a good experience. Of course, that's gate kept. You have to be a Xfinity subscriber. And on the internet side, it's just been good, not great. I don't have cable through them. I think those prices are exorbitant. I don't know if I love Xfinity, Comcast, the company necessarily. I've had good experiences with them. But yeah, the mobile offering is actually superb. I went into the store with my unlocked iPhone SE a couple years back, or a year back, or a year longer than that, I guess now. And what I did then was say, hey, look, here's my device, BYOD. I know it works with your network. Let's rock and roll. And I walked out of the store working a little bit later. I mean, it was pretty great. And they operate a lot like a carrier. They even have a store. So I think they're really good. I think they're a great MVNO. I really didn't have a lot of issue. The only issue I've had, and I don't know if it's an Xfinity Mobile issue or not, it seems like only on my Android phones, and my last two were both Samsung, but different Samsung phones, the GPS just totally craps out sometimes. But I've never had the problem on the iPhone on the same network, so I don't know what the deal is there. It could be a Samsung issue, no clue. But that's it. Call quality good. Whereas like I had Google Fi or Project Fi before, that call quality was awful, at least for me. So I have nothing but great things to say about Xfinity Mobile. If my work was not paying for my new mobile plan, I would be on Xfinity Mobile still. But I'm switching over there probably to get on some kind of upgrade program soon. And of course, having postpaid prioritized data on a major network is just going to be at least a little bit better than something like a MVNO. So anyway, that's that. So am I going to get a new phone soon? I don't know. I get a new one about every year. The new iPhones in green are cool. I'll talk about the iPhone SE, but I have to talk about my Galaxy Z Flip 3. And it's actually right over here. And here's my... No, I won't show that. It has my address on it. Look, I got the Z Flip 3 back. If you've watched that video, I had nothing but glowing things to say about it. It had been over, I think, right at 6-month mark of owning. I thought I knew the device enough to review it, to kind of talk about it, talk about its durability, because I had dropped it a couple times. I used it in a variety of situations, used it through all the seasons, right? I mean, I thought that it was a good time to talk about the Z Flip 3. And of course, like a week after that video goes live, my screen protector starts to have issue. So I detailed my experience with the kind of Samsung authorized company to repair it, and that was terrible. So then I sent it in for Samsung. Good thing I had that iPhone as backup. Let me brush it off here. But they returned it to me, and I mean, we're looking... You can see me there. They're my screen and the reflection. We're looking good here. I mean, it looks repaired. It looks good. But the thing is, they said on the repair order, they said that the only issue was with the screen protector. They said there was no issue with the screen itself. And the fact that with a device like a foldable, that you have to, with a device like a foldable, blah, if I could talk, uh, that I have to send it in for warranty, or like I detailed in my video, you should check that out if you haven't. You have to bring it into a repair facility that, quite frankly, kind of sucks, and they want your password to your phone to put a screen protector on. I mean, unacceptable. Just a terrible, absolutely terrible experience. So, the Z Flip 3 is in my doghouse, and it's actually on eBay right now. So I went from loving this thing, saying, hey, this has satiated my need for phones. I really like it, to really souring on it in a little bit. And most of that's bad customer service, but part of it's just because if I have to replace the screen protector because of, under warranty, I can't just have that done really easily. And that's a support issue. If I went to an Apple store, I know they don't have foldables, but they'd replace the screen protector in front of me. I wouldn't need to give them my passcode to my phone. I mean, it's so stupid. I wouldn't have to leave it. This guy, even if I gave it to them and gave them my passcode, to be like 4 hours. It's ridiculous. So, Z Flip 3 in the doghouse and on eBay. Go make a bid. You'll see it out there. So, that's a bummer. I'm bummed. Looks like we might have a viewer or two. Shoot me a chat if you're out there. Any tech questions? Or credit card questions. I have a second channel for that as well, even though this is the tech channel. If you're a viewer and you're out there, hit me up with the questions. But yeah, I'm really upset with the Galaxy Z Flip 3. And ugh. That's what I got on that. That's what I got. And I want to talk a little bit about, just because, look, this is my live stream. If I want to ramble, I'm going to ramble. That's what we're at. That's what we're doing. I'll get back to the iPhones. Green iPhones, sick. They look sick. I'll get to the iPhone SE, but I want to talk a little bit about my Android Apple-ness of the world. Obviously, I'm currently using, again, for a little bit, the iPhone SE, the 2021, pretty much a carbon copy of the new one. It looks exactly the same, form factor, display, everything's the same. Internals are different. And, I've had some more time on the iPhone now. And look, I really like what Apple's been doing with iOS, especially this newest iOS. And I know it's going to change a little bit again, but the fact that they've added essentially an app drawer now, the home screens aren't cluttered, there's not 100 home screens anymore, the widgets. What Apple has done, and then with the ad tracking, what Apple has done in the last little bit has made me much more amenable to Apple than I used to be. The fact that you could change like your default browser and email app, spectacular. I was probably actually going to forego getting something like the Flip. I'm glad I didn't, because I wanted to see what that experience is like, and now I found it a little bit lacking. But I wanted to maybe switch to iPhone, and then when all that stuff came out about how they were going to screen the iCloud storage for, I forget what it was. Was it like child pornography or something? That rubbed me the wrong way. Not of course, because I support that. Those people are some of the sickest individuals alive. I don't know that you could have a sicker individual than those people. And really, any way we can stop those, right? It's important to get behind. So I'm sympathetic to that. Those, again, some of the worst individuals alive. Creating that, consuming that. I mean, just, I don't want to talk about this a while because it's not a good topic. This is my stream. I want to talk about uplifting topics. But the point is, from a guy who works in cybersecurity, there was at least some trepidation on my part because there wasn't a lot of auditability or transparency on Apple's part. Like, they could say, okay, well, we're just going to look for child pornography. Great, good. Let's stop these guys. Let's lock them up. Let's get them out of here. But what happens, how often does that technology fail? Does that technology not work all the time? What flags somebody's legitimate, totally, image, I don't know, if they're food or something. Look, they did explain this, and I did read about it at the time. So some of these questions were answered. But my point was, what if that is, in some way, shape, or form, false positive? Is it gonna? How often does that happen? Even if it happens 1 out of a billion photos is a false positive. a picture of someone's cat or dog or food or whatever, a landscape, and it just flags it maliciously. Um, what happens then? And of course, then Apple, I think, said something to the effect of, well, you need to meet a limit. You need to meet, 5 or 10 or whatever it was. But it's like, hang on, if someone has one, one child pornographic image that's real, that person needs to be locked up, right? We got to deal with those kinds of things. So, who decides the threshold? What makes one threshold right and another threshold not right? There's just a lot of hopefully you can see through that, at least that analysis. And I don't want to do like whataboutism or say that that's bad. If there's a way to securely do that, to not have false positives, to not have that system be abused, if you build in a capability to find images that people deem unacceptable, which child pornography, by anyone's definition, is the most unacceptable. I mean, again, lock these guys up. Hopefully that point's clear. My issue is, well, what happens if like a nation state, like obviously there's a lot of conflict in Russia and Ukraine right now. What if Russia went to Apple and said, oh, that capability you built for child pornography, well, if you want to keep operating in Russia, which of course Apple pulled out, so maybe not a great example, but China or I don't know, some totalitarian state, if you want to keep selling your phones here, you have to use that capability to find whatever images that would be hostile to the ruling governing party. So there's just some issues there that I had concern with, and it's not like they couldn't be resolved. I'm amenable to a solution. I wasn't going to say this could never happen. Anything, if we can do something within reason to stop some of these people, we need to do it. And a lot of other companies are doing some similar type methods. I think Microsoft does something, Google does something with their cloud storage. Of course, you don't want to host those sorts of things. So the point is, I mean, there's a lot of points here, but that gave me at least a little bit of trepidation. I at least wanted to see where the chips fell, see how that played out, because I just wanted to see how that played out and see what the end result would be. And I think Apple ended up backing off of that, which is a little bit disappointing because I do wish they would have found a way, and if someone's in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would have been nice if they found a way to still do that. I mean, we need, in the 21st century, we've got to have ways to combat these sorts of people. They're adapting for the 21st century. I mean, for goodness sake, I did a podcast on these children who were abducted, and I've been trying to fight for them to get their case solved all these years later, and I got access to some case documents, and I was reading through them and reading, and eventually I had to stop. That was in June, I think, of last year. I haven't been able to pick that up again to try and parse through the case documents, see what I can find. I haven't been able to pick it up again because my mood was affected. I was depressed. I was irritable, I think. I mean, reading these sorts of things, the depravity of people is just one of the most sobering things. I wish, that those things never happened. Man, this is my stream, and I'm getting choked up now. Anyway, point. I was about to say point is again. I wish they would have found something that was amenable to cybersecurity concerns and also a way to catch these guys, right? Because we need to do that really in any way we can. So I wish they would have found a better way. So that's what I'll say about that. Emotional part over there. But anyway, getting back to some lighter-hearted topics, the typical tech fanboyism. I've been an Android user since 2011 to 2020. Then I got this iPhone for 6 months or something, 3 months, 4 months, until I got the the S21, and then I got the Z Flip 3. So then I was back on Android, still back on Android pretty much. I did switch a little bit over to this iPhone when I sent my Flip in. And I think, again, what Apple has been doing with their stuff has been really good. They've allowed you to change the They've allowed you to change the default mail app, default browser. Sorry, one second here. Sorry, they allowed you to change all this stuff. They have the widgets, they have the app drawer, things I already discussed. So that's cool. I really like that. That got rid of a lot of my criticisms of the iOS experience. So that was awesome. And I think what Apple is doing from a ecosystem perspective is still unrivaled. And as again, an Android user for longer than a decade, really only interrupted by 3 or 4 months of iPhone usage, I'm getting closer to switching to iPhone, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, and it might not happen. I always talk about these things, and then they don't end up happening. But what Apple is doing from a ad tracking standpoint, blocking those ads from tracking you, is spectacular. I talked a little bit about what they're doing. I wish they would find a better way to do something with the iCloud, that the child pornography stuff. I wish they would do something there a little bit more. But what they're doing from the hardware standpoint has always been good. I hate the notch. I absolutely hate it, but it's smaller now. And I think what they do from an ecosystem perspective is really still unparalleled. And it blows my mind how no one's been able to catch up to them in this space. Because if you look at Apple's major competitors from an ecosystem perspective, of course, the obvious one is Google. Right, Google makes Android, and I'm an avid Google Photos user. I have Gmail. I pay for Google storage. Unfortunately, I've been locked into that ecosystem, but things don't really work together very well at all. I used to have a Chromebook. I know they've added a lot of features to Chrome OS to kind of increase the Android Chrome OS cohesiveness, but I still don't think it's at a standpoint where it matches up to other offerings. And so, with Google, it just doesn't work well together. You don't have that iMessage functionality on PC. I know you can go to messages.android.com or whatever. The point is the pieces of the puzzle don't fit as well together with the Google ecosystem. And this is someone who's used it for years and years. We still don't have, and I love my Garmin. I absolutely love this thing. And I'll probably keep it, even if I switch to an iPhone, but there's still no like Pixel Watch. I know they overhauled the Android OS and that new Galaxy Watch is out, but you need a Samsung for that to take full advantage of all its features. Of course, not all of them, but most of them. So you need a Samsung phone with that Samsung Watch, and then we're going to get more devices later this year. But the watch experience hasn't been very good from that smartwatch type feel. Yes, Team Garmin up in here. Yes, love the Garmin. Thank you, Haley. So we just don't have on Android in the smartwatch realm, like the fitness tracker realm. You can use your Garmin, but the smartwatch realm, we haven't had a good enough device. Apple's got the Apple Watch. And then if you look at other ecosystem competitors like Samsung, they certainly have it down on the hardware side with the watches, let's say. But they don't have, they're kind of, and I've had a couple Samsung devices in a row, they're kind of, it's weird on a Samsung phone because they're trying to make you go Google because it's Android, so get in the Google ecosystem, but also maybe go to Samsung, so they've got the Samsung smart things, they've got those smart trackers now. So it's almost like this curmudgeon. Again, the pieces don't fit well. You've got Samsung trying to fill some of the gaps that Google doesn't fill so well, but the things don't work together quite the same. I have a Windows PC, and I use the Your Phone app on Windows, and that integrates really well with Samsung phones versus other Android phones. Which is just another thing. Like if you have an Android phone, things are not just going to work 100% of the time with everything. And I found that the Your Phone app actually, it works pretty well. You can run the Android apps, you can mirror your screen. but it doesn't work well every time. It's not as reliable as it should be. Whereas with the iPhone, it just is. So hopefully that point is kind of clear. Um, from the periphery, the accessory standpoint, the cohesiveness standpoint, you're just getting a little more with the iPhone right now. And I think something that people haven't talked about a lot, and another reason why I'm at least considering a switch to the iPhone is the Apple services. I think that that's really, really good. And so, what do I mean when I say Apple services? That new Apple One platform is pretty intriguing, quite frankly, especially if you have a family. So, you get Apple, there's various tiers of it, but um, for Apple One individual, it's $14.95 a month. So I think like a YouTube Premium, which gives you YouTube Music, which is kind of like a Spotify competitor. It's not that good. I've tried it. Um, as well as no ads on YouTube. I think that's $12 a month for an individual. Whereas like a competitor like a Spotify, which is obviously music only, that's $10 a month. I pay for that. Uh, the Apple One individual is $14.95 a month for an individual. You get Apple Music, which I heard is pretty good, basically the number two behind Spotify. Apple TV Plus, which I love Ted Lasso. I don't know if Haley's still in the chat, but Team Ted Lasso out there. Um, that show is fantastic. I haven't gotten into a lot of the other shows on Apple TV Plus. I really loved Mythic Quest. Pretty much everything I've watched on Apple TV has been pretty good. I just haven't watched a ton of stuff. So you get Apple TV Plus, which is cool. You get Apple Arcade, which is basically those ad-free, no microtransaction games. And you get 50 gigs of iCloud storage, which most people, if you have an iPhone, Team Lasso, AFC Richmond, yes, yes. Um, but yeah, you also get 50 gigs of iCloud storage, which most people, if you have an iPhone, you're probably, unfortunately, which I don't like, you're going to pay for iCloud storage, whereas with somebody like Google, that's a little bit better in terms of the price you pay because you can get away with that free storage for Android for a lot longer. But that's a pretty killer deal. If you upgrade to the family one, you can share with 5 other people. It's the same music, TV, arcade, and iCloud, but you get 200 gigs of iCloud. But I do believe that's shared, so you share that 200 gigs among 5 people. And then the Premier, which is $30 a month, you get the same, but you get 2 terabytes of iCloud. News Plus, which honestly I'm finding myself wanting more and more the longer I'm on the iPhone. And then you get Fitness Plus, which again, that's that integration with the Apple Watch. Apple's trying to envelop you into their ecosystem, which I've long been critical of because number one, it's hard to get out, and number two, certain competitor solutions have been better. I do like my Garmin, I think, more than I would like an Apple Watch. I do like certain things about Android, certain apps or certain things more than I would like the Apple baked in equivalent. But we're getting to a point now where, quite frankly, I think Android, whatever, Samsung or Google, they haven't kept up as well, and Apple's improved the quality of the services in the ecosystem. So I think that is something not to be, uh, I don't know, overstated or underappreciated. That Apple's push into services, I think, has been pretty good. Um, Whereas I think Android, whether it was Google or Samsung, had a large lead for a while on that front, but I think that lead's pretty much evaporated. So getting into that Apple ecosystem, even with something like just an iPhone, you don't need a Mac, you don't need an iPad. I think that's still pretty good. I do also think that Apple offers the best way to buy a phone these days. Of course, most people go into their carrier, they get a phone through their carrier, and they kind of rock that way. But there's some drawbacks with that approach. You're locked into a particular carrier, so if you move jobs, if you move your physical location, your carrier is not as good. You might be on the hook for $700 left of your iPhone 13 Pro when the 14's out, and that's just not good. Apple offers a great way to buy it. You buy it directly through the Apple site. You get Apple Care included. Now, I have a credit card that has cell phone insurance baked in, but most people, I think, don't or don't know that they have it. So you're getting the cell phone insurance. You're getting, so if you crack the screen, whatever, that gets replaced. And you're not locked into a carrier like I talked about at the beginning of the stream. You have to be a customer of one of the big carriers, but you can switch at any time during your time with the iPhone and it works just fine. And you can also replace your iPhone after 1 year. So that's awesome. It's the best way to buy a phone. I would actually save money, which is kind of wild, just because I buy a new phone every year, like I talked about a little bit earlier. And that's the best way to buy a phone. Google tried to respond to this with their Pixel, I think it's Pixel Pass, and that is a pretty good program. I think it's even a little cheaper than the iPhone program, but you're stuck to Google Fi, Google's like MVNO carrier, so you're stuck to an inferior quality carrier versus the big ones, and you can't switch your carrier at any point in time while you have that. I used to have Google Fi, like I said, it wasn't good, at least where I was, and the plans weren't very price competitive. So that's another thing. I think that doesn't get enough appreciation. So this is turning a lot more into a hater on Android stream, which is funny because obviously I've had Android for over a decade and I love it. I love it. So um, yeah, but I'm considering that hop over the fence after my little bit of time here, especially with the iPhone SE, which still has terrible battery life. The battery life on this phone is pretty awful. But the rest is still great. I mean, 2 years later to get that performance is spectacular. So that's what I wanted to say. And that doesn't mean that, I didn't enjoy, again, if you watch my video about the Z Flip 3, I was like locked into Samsung, well, at least to the Z Flip 3, just because of the form factor, because of the coolness factor. And then, the experience got soured pretty quick there. And that's another thing about somebody like Apple. If you have a problem with your iPhone, you can walk into a store owned by the company that makes the phone and get them to work on it. If your Google Pixel breaks or your Samsung breaks, especially if your Samsung breaks, you're going to have to go through this crappy experience that I went through. Just terrible support, just terrible. I mean, you have nowhere to go. You can't take it anywhere. Um, so I think that is something to note, definitely. All right, well, yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're talking about. We talked a little bit about the cybersecurity aspect, a little bit with the Apple stuff. I know this isn't primarily a cybersecurity channel, and that's my day job, so I don't always love talking about it outside of work, right? Because I get a little burned out at work. But cybersecurity, it's important to keep in mind with our phones, with our devices, with these sort of things. And it's been interesting to watch the cybersecurity incidents in the wake of this Ukraine-Russia conflict, the war over there, because it hasn't been a very well-kept secret that Russian state actors, Russian state entities have put their hands in the cookie jar. They've been meddling in Western businesses from a cyber attack perspective for years. I mean, before any of this. So they've been meddling for a very long time into these sorts of things, and it's been interesting to watch uh, some of these things. For instance, Israel, their government was hit by a massive cyber attack. Apparently, of course, the details still have to come out. What was the exploitation method? Was it an inside job? Was it something that was planted for a while? Was it social engineering? Right. I mean, all these sorts of things have to get answered. But who's behind these sorts of things, and we don't really have to fire bullets at each other anymore when we can attack cyber. If you could take someone's power grid down without firing a bullet, cause panic, cause issue, that's a lot less manpower, a lot less resource intensive. Not saying that can happen at the drop of a hat. I do have a ethical hacking, not certified ethical hacker, but I have the G Pen from GX, so I did actually do a ethical hacking of a Fortune 500 company to kind of test their defenses, test the security. So look, I'm experienced here. This stuff can be pretty dang difficult out there in the real in the world. So it's just interesting to see kind of how this will all shake out as we kind of get into our first state-on-state war in the 21st century, right? Obviously, Ukraine, a sovereign country with borders. Obviously, there's been a war in, I guess 21st century. I guess Iraq. They have border. Yeah, I mean I don't know. I guess that was a little bit of a different conflict, but now that we're progressed more through the 21st century, I'm sure Ukraine had some people in their government, in their military with cyber capability. So we're really entering kind of that first war of this type in the 21st century, where everyone's got access to social media. Everyone can propagate, fake news or real stuff. Obviously the information is flowing more freely in this war than it ever has in human history. So that's part of it, right? You also don't need to take down someone's, total government or websites or infrastructure. If you can maybe just seed some fake information to turn the tide of opinion, right? I mean, that's possible as well. We've seen Russia do some stuff like that. At least try to do it in their own country, to their own citizens. So that's been interesting to watch. It's kind of like path of least resistance, right? I could go hack all this government. I could hack all this stuff. I could take down the mainframe. No, but I could go try and take down a hospital system or take down military or government websites or infrastructure, whatever. But that is probably harder than seeding this fake news online, getting viral retweets or getting viral, attention. Maybe that would help me in the same method that I'm looking for, right? So whatever the path of least resistance is, people are going to take that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing out there, from my... Still, I mean, obviously I'm a professional, but, I'm not an expert on this particular realm of cybersecurity. So that has been interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And of course, I can't look at this strictly academically. I don't think the U.S. obviously is the best friend of Russia right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And slightly concerning, obviously, but hopefully, I gotta just have faith that we're up to the task there. All right, what did I title this stream? I want to hit all the topics while we are here. What did I title this stream? This is just not... The YouTube Studio function is not 100. All right, what I say? Green iPhones, they're sick. Broken Z Flip, cybersecurity, and more. I am really excited for Google's second generation Tensor chip. The first one in these Pixel phones, I don't think has been amazing. It's been pretty fast. It's been pretty good. The price the phone was at, I think was still spectacular. My dad has a Pixel 6, and he likes it. The screen is cool. The size is big. He likes it. It's good. It takes good photos. It's a good phone, but I'm excited for Generation 2 of that. Hopefully it delivers some more improvements, because Apple is killing it in the processor game right now. Just absolutely killing it in that. So I'm hoping Google's Tensor 2 chip either delivers more speed, or, Apple, obviously, with their processors, they've been delivering such speed, they're just lapping, they're like lapping themselves every year. So it's like, okay, the speed is increasing, but we can't really use the speed increase that much. So it will be interesting to see if Google kind of continues down its road of AI and ML type focus for its processor over something just like a raw speed increase. It'll be interesting to see some of those applications, I think. So I'm excited for that this year. And the new iPhone SE, I want to talk about that. I said I would, so I'm going to. I'm circling back to Apple. It's a little more Apple-centric stream, but that's what we're doing. And the new SE, it's a disappointment. I mean, it's a disappointment. And I watched some of the review videos come out today. I was hoping one of the biggest disappointments about this device, Broomball. What's up, Broomball? I heard the Pixel 6 had a bunch of bugs that Google took their sweet time addressing, and some people are still having issues. See, that's what I'm saying, Broomball. I don't know if you were here earlier when I was talking about kind of me as a decade-long Android user, not an Apple fanboy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm kind of thinking about switching to iPhone because I talked a little about how, and I've rambled a little in this stream, but I've talked a little about how the Apple ecosystem is tighter these days even than it used to be. The Apple One services are pretty good. Apple has a clear vision. I think Google is starting to embark on a clear vision for their Pixel with that Tensor chip, with some of these things that they're going to do going forward. I think that they're starting to find their vision and what they want their Pixel to be, what they want that to be. But we're on the Pixel 6. I mean, we're on the Pixel 6, and it seems like the vision of what they truly want this phone to be is just now coming into shape. Whereas, right, you have other competitors that are more established. Even Samsung, with their Galaxy S series, I think they said they're going to patch that with Android updates for longer than Google will with their own phones and their own OS. I mean, Google tightly controls that. It's kind of ridiculous. So the Android ecosystem is a little, I don't know, a little disastery these days. Uh, yeah. So thanks for the comment, Broomball. Yeah, I'm just in here. I think you're the only guy in here right now, so we can chat it up about Pixel 6 more if you want, or anything. Any tech questions that you have. But I was just gonna start talking as I wrap the live stream up a little bit about the iPhone SE. I have the 2020 iPhone SE right here. It was my backup phone. And it's been my backup phone. It's my primary phone now because my Z Flip 3 was in for warranty replacement. And look, the design was dated when it came out in 2020, and it's really dated now that they're reusing it. So that's disappointing. When I use this phone, even today, the speed blows me away. This speed on this device, day-to-day tasks, opening and closing apps, using widgets, watching video, whatever. The speed of this device is insane. So that was not on the top of my list to improve, which Apple did. They put their new chip in it, which great. It'll increase the software support. It'll increase, the longevity. So that's good. But, I saw it was interesting. The Verge said today, okay, hey, that's great that we're going to get software updates for a really long time and that this device is cheap and has longevity, which I agree. But they said, and I agree totally as someone who's owned this device and had it, basically since shortly after it came out. Basically, like the screen with the barely above 720p resolution, the bezels, the old style, even though it's going to get updates 4 or 5 years down the road, the longevity here is going to not be that long because of the design. Eventually people will get fed up. And this design's long in the tooth. The camera is actually really good on this phone. I mean, for what it is, for the price bracket it's in. So the camera's good. In my 2020, in the new one, I think it's the same hardware, just better AI processing on the back end. So the camera is probably even a little bit better. So hey, that's good. The battery life sucks, and the display and the form factor. I like the compact size, but the screen and stuff, it sucks. And it's a great backup phone. It's a great kid phone. It's a great fleet phone, for your workforce. It's an iPhone, and it's awesome in a lot of different ways. And I really do like my time with the device. But the fact that this new iPhone SE, they couldn't stick in the 10R body, or I don't know, bring the iPhone mini down or put last year's chip in, release the iPhone 12 mini or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but I think this form factor is long overstayed its welcome. Yes, you're getting 5G in the new one. Again, you're getting the fastest chip in a phone for $429, which is crazy. In a lot of ways, this device is still crazy. But the display on the front, I mean, the thing that you're looking at over and over and over and over and over again, it's just not that great. And they're not really targeting iPhone SE second gen. They're not really targeting these people for this phone. They're targeting iPhone 8 people, iPhone 7 people, people who are still holding out on those older phones. Android 12's destroyed your Pixel 4a battery life. The SE not having night mode is also disappointing. I agree. I think that this device, the iPhone SE 2020, was killer when it came out. Absolutely killer. Absolutely awesome. Hit the right spot in the market at the right time. This form factor wasn't quite as outdated then. Yes, the battery life is bad, but great device at the time. But I think at this point, you're getting to a spot where, yes, you're getting the fastest chip in the phone. Yes, you're still getting a pretty good camera experience. You're getting these kinds of things. They say 2 hours on their website, more video playback than the one that I have. But and you're getting 5G, but like I've had 5G, it's not that useful. The point is it's overstayed its welcome. It's overstayed its welcome. This form factor. It would have been really good if they put it in the 10S or the 10R body or something. That would have been a lot better. Even if it was $500, I think that would sell. So, yeah, it's disappointing. Android 12 destroyed your battery life. That's what I'm saying. You know, the Android is fragmented. You know, Samsung supporting devices longer than Google supporting their own devices. The ecosystem isn't very good. I actually really like the Microsoft ecosystem, and it integrates okay with Samsung phones, but still not great. And then you're kind of trying to be integrated into the Google ecosystem while using the Samsung phone. And then you're kind of trying to be integrated into the what Samsung has while you're using it. The ecosystem is just really fractured right now. The closest thing with path of least resistance you'll get is on the Pixel phones. And then, yeah, you mentioned it, and I've already gone over. Those Pixel phones aren't perfect. Now, the iPhones aren't perfect either. I mean, the fact that you're releasing a phone in this day and age without at least 90 hertz display for the price Apple's charging for the base 13 and the 13 mini and those sorts of things is not great. But I think the iPhone and the Apple, you know, they have more going for them these days than Samsung and Google, just because they've tightened to the screws, you know, they've tightened it down, they've leaned into their strengths. Whereas the roadmap to me isn't as clear. It's not as clear with the other guys. And this is a guy who's had Samsung phones over the years, HTC, RIP, HTC. Motorola used to be my favorite OEM. You know, they've kind of fallen by the wayside. I really liked my OnePlus 6T, I think I had, but then they leaked a bunch of data, have terrible cybersecurity practices, and then in the recent years they've increased the prices of their of their phones without offering a consummate increase in experience. So most of the Android OEMs have really fallen by the wayside. It's Samsung's show, and I've never loved Samsung devices since, I mean, for a while now. Z Flip 3 was the closest I got until I had my last bad experience. So check that video out if you haven't already. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, you know, and you can check back through the stream if you want to hear some more of those. But yeah, that's what I got, Broomball. Your Note 8. Oh, I really liked my Note 8. I actually had one of those too. I cracked the screen. They're very fragile phones. Yeah, Note 8 had screen burn-in. Oh, that screen was really good on those phones, though. I mean, yeah, it had the burn-in. I'm not doubting that happened to you, but that was one of the best screens I'd ever seen on a phone. Probably even still. That screen is so good. Yeah. What do you use? You said you use a 4A. Do you still use the 4A today, Broomball? I want to know. I really like the Pixel A series, actually. The fact that it doesn't have wireless charging is kind of infuriating, but I like the Pixel A series. I think those phones I think the A series phones have a clear vision of what they want to be. Whereas the flagship Pixel 6, 5, you know, the 7, maybe we'll see, but they haven't had a clear vision. Whereas Apple has known exactly what they want to be. Even Samsung, with their S21, I think, really stepped into it. And S22 now, they know what they want to be. You know, Samsung's kind of the iPhone of Android, which sucks when you have Google. I mean, the Pixel should be the iPhone of Android, but it's Samsung. They're supporting it for the longest amount of time. You know, it's just the essentials, nothing more. That's why I turned in my S21 because it was a little too boring for a tech head like me. So yeah, the Android ecosystem, it's just very fragmented these days. And so it's been disappointing as someone who's used Android for a decade. I think Apple is really kind of hitting stride right now. Yeah, so that's what I got pretty much. I was just talking about it. It's been a little bit of an Apple kind of week because they've had the announcements, you know. The Samsung S22 Ultra is cool. I don't think the S22s are anything to write home about. Yeah. And I like green, so that's why I was talking about the green iPhone. I like that one. I like that color. Oh, we might have 2 viewers. We got anybody else out there? Shoot in a comment. I'm about to be wrapping the stream up here soon, but any kind of tech question that you have that you want, me, an expert, to answer. I do work in cybersecurity. That is my day job. So if there's questions about those, hey, I can endeavor to answer those. Trying to look through some of there. Do you wish phone companies would go back to plastic backs? I know glass looks nice, but I put a case on regardless. Oh man, if you could find it, and I'll probably have to find it later after this stream, because I reviewed the Galaxy S21. I really liked the plastic back on that phone. I thought it was pretty sick, and I actually don't put cases on my phone. Usually, this is obviously my iPhone. I don't rock it with the case. My Z Flip 3 was the first phone I put a case on in a really long time, and I just did it because it was a flip phone. I usually don't put cases on my phone. I did really like the plastic back on the S21. I know S22 has glass again, but I really did like that. I really did. And one of the best built phones I ever used in all my time of reviewing phones, of owning phones, and this is a device I got sent to review, and this is a total obscure phone, but it was the Nokia Lumia Icon. And I think that was a rebrand. I think it was like the Nokia Lumia 929 or something like that. And that phone had basically like a plastic build with like a kind of what the iPhone has now, like squared off sides with like a metal, I think it was a metal chamfered edge. And that phone, again, plastic, that was one of my favorite phones of all time. That was a spectacular phone. I'm looking in my drawer right now to see what I have. I really did like the metal on the earlier phones. Here's my beat up HTC One M7. This was awesome phone to have metal. I loved this phone as metal. But yeah, I wish there was a plastic option, I guess. But unfortunately, the market just doesn't support that. Like, people aren't buying phones with plastic backs because it doesn't feel as premium. And then they just have a broken back of their phone. But yeah, that's a tough one. It's not like my number one feature from yesteryear that I'm like, yes, I need that back. But I do like them. I do like them. That's for sure. Good question. I love it. Love the engagement. I'm all about it, Broomball. You got me thinking now, like, what do I want? What feature from the old timey phones in the smartphone world, right? What would I want to bring back? Your Note 4 was a tank. Oh, I reviewed the Note 4. I actually didn't like it very much. I didn't like the Note 4 very much. You bricked it after I factory reset with your Samsung account still attached. That's gross. That's gross. What feature from the olden phones would I want to bring back? And it's surprisingly, I wouldn't say the headphone jack. I think we've kind of moved on. It sucked when it happened, but we've moved on now. Although I really did like some of the LG phones that had a DAC in them. That was awesome. So your headphones. Ooh, IR blaster for TVs. So funny story about that. When I was in college, which wasn't that long ago, one of my buddies had the LG V20, which was a great phone, by the way. And I think that phone had an IR blaster. And we would go to the cafeteria in college to go eat. And if we didn't like what was on the TV, we would change it to what we wanted to watch. Whatever sports game or whatever, we would just change it. Yeah, IR blaster would be cool. I wouldn't use it that much just because I have streaming, I have Fubo right now, so I just cast it off my phone anyway to my TV. So I wouldn't use it a lot, but I can totally see where IR blaster would be cool. I was gonna say, I think removable battery, which of course has never been a feature on something like an iPhone, but removable battery phones, I remember I would have an extra battery. You just swap that thing, you're good to go. You don't have to use fast charging, you don't have to find an outlet. You just swap in a new battery. I really do miss removable batteries. I think. And that increases longevity of devices too. Like if you're having a problem, if your phone doesn't hold a battery charge, then you just go get a new battery, and then your phone works still. Like people get rid of phones now, which increases e-waste and all sorts of things just because their battery life's not as good. And it's like, oh, if I have to pay $200 to get a new battery, I'll just spend 500 for the Pixel 4a or 5a or whatever. So removable battery, I think, is my feature. Let me look at the crop of phones I have here in the drawer. Let's see if we have any inspiration. We've got the Moto G5S, maybe? And this phone was a good budget phone, but it had terrible call quality. Metal back, not a plastic back. Guess I like metal back phones more than I thought. IR blaster for TV. That's a good one. Let me check the closet right before I end the stream. Let me check this closet, see if I got anything in here. You got me digging into the archives of the phone life. Broomball, you better still be out there. I'm doing this for you, buddy. I'm doing this for you. I got rid of a lot of my old phones, so I don't have a lot. There's one down here. What is it? Oh no, that's a old smartwatch. Yes, Broomball still out there. We love it. We love to see it. A CD or a DVD, good. Oh come on! I swear I had some old phones in this bag still. Oh, this is a. Well, we got this. The venerable Amazon Fire Tab 7 plastic back Broomball. Yeah, this is actually really good plastic back though. I actually really like this plastic back. Where is that thing? Maybe I did get rid of them. Yeah, I think I got rid of them. I've had a lot of phones over the years. My all-time favorite phone, I really like that Lumia icon, but my favorite phone that I owned probably was the HTC Droid DNA, and that was probably in like 2013. Broomball, what was your favorite phone of all time? Kite and Key Gang. Oh, bro. Bro, you bringing it up. Oh, man. Bro, who is this? Who is this? Broomball, my guy. You're bringing up a blast from the past right now. Kite and Key Gang, bro, that was a time. That was a time. Ah, yeah, okay. I got you. Hopefully you continued the proud tradition of managerial legacy that I left at the Kite and Key. I can only hope that such a legacy was followed up on. That's funny though. Thank you for joining, Broomball, and I think I had someone else in here earlier. Done. I don't think they're around, but I'm wrapping up the stream. Dude, Brett Fisher's brother. I hope Brett is good. Brett was awesome. That guy was sick. He was really cool. Yeah, I miss Brett. That guy was cool. But yeah, I'm wrapping up the stream. Thank you, Broomball, for tuning in, and I will see See you on the flip side, maybe.